We are tonight's entertainment.
You can't handle the truth.
The fire rises.
Pizza time.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So it begins.
You know how much I sacrifice?
You think that's air you're breathing?
Groovy.
I don't have friends. I got family.
We are Sex People! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Craft Services.
Hey, Trent.
Hi, Parth.
You're looking well.
You too. What have you been eating?
Well, Trent, my mother made rajma a few days ago, and rajma is red kidney beans in like a tomato gravy. It's kind of like, you remember my mom's famous chili.
Her meat-free chili.
Which was good.
I'm noticing that several dishes under the Marathe household umbrella have earned the reputation of being famous. Some in jest, some in truth. I.e., Parth's famous wing.
Okay!
But then Parth redeems himself with his famous nachos, you know.
It's like kind of shocking how 50-50 I can be with the things I make for you guys. Because
It's like
when
Russian
I make it for
roulette,
myself,
Parth.
it's like totally fine. And then I make wings for you guys, and I'm like, what if I put the entire packet of salt in? And then I make really salty wings.
You roll the dice and you're either a hero or a zero for the entire night. People are either can't shut up about how great your brownies are or your cooking is, or they're like, Parth ruined the night.
I'm neither the cook we deserve nor the cook we need right now, but I cook anyways. But yeah, I had rajma with some roti. What about you, Trent?
I had the thought, I think I worked on my first feature film today, but then I flashed back to what I guess technically I was a production assistant on the feature film that you worked on.
Adam Volrich's Drink and Be Merry, which shot at your house, famously.
Which really more my contribution to that was providing the location. Should have been like location, whatever. Like PA was sort of a stretch, but watching the cut of that movie with you and seeing the extent to which my room and my choice of decor was featured was truly sobering, and it's like a good chunk of the movie. But if you're disregarding that shoot, for which I was barely a PA, I PA'd on my first feature today, and then it ended early, and then a different job asked me to drive a bunch of gear to New York, and I was like, challenge accepted. And so then I did that, and then I'm really tired now.
Yeah, when I asked Trent if we could record today, Trent said, I could rally, but I'm pretty whooped. Is tomorrow morning okay? What'd I say, Trent?
I just pulled up our text simultaneously. You said, is it okay if we do today? I just want to get it over with so I don't have to edit and record tomorrow. And Parth's use of get it over with sort of scared me, because we usually have a pretty good vibe, but sometimes you can feel it if we're tired or a little bit not, or a little crabby.
Unhappy with each other.
And then I said, oh, okay. And then I said, are you in a good mood? ? Smiley face. And he said, yeah. And so here we are.
And here we are, cueing the intro.
Welcome back to Craft Services, where we talk about the movies. Each week we talk about a film and hopefully have a crew member of that film to talk with us about their experience working on the picture. This week,
we have the Monkey co-editors Greg Ng and Graham Fortin. This is part 2. Oh.
And the Monkey is here in the studio with us.
Yeah. And yeah, so this is part 2. We get into some spoilers. It's been a while now that the movie's been out, so I think we're in the clear for that. But yeah, we get into some specific scenes. We get into how Longlegs' success sort of changed some stuff in this movie. And yeah, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was a cool interview with some cool guests.
It was a cool interview with some cool guests. We talk about the past. We also talk about the future. At the end, we talk about the next Osgood Perkins project, which our co-editors said was their favorite of the bunch, including this film and including Longlegs. So that says a lot right there. So listen out for that. Listen to the Big Kahuna Final Question. Wonder what that's going to be all about. Crazy.
I don't know. But you'll just have to listen to this interview, which we're queuing right now. So this movie has an interesting structure. There's a long section of the movie at the very beginning before you get to Theo James. And can you talk about whether that was difficult to get right pacing-wise?
Yeah, I mean, like, it is pretty interesting. It did take a while to sort of get to that point because I think, like, Longlegs has an interesting kind of nonlinear structure where you're sort of floating between past and present and flashbacks, and we juggled a lot of that during the editing of Longlegs. It's sort of like de-linearizing it to make it more of an emotional structure. Like, it follows a chronological order, but there's more cutting in between past and present. And I feel like when we came into The Monkey script-wise, it was probably written in that way where you were more in and out of the past and the present and jumping between the two based on themes or characters. And then through the editing of The Monkey, we kind of like undid all those things to make it completely linear. I think, maybe the producers or the audience is like, they see Theo James on the thing, they're like, when are we going to get Theo James? Like, give me Theo. 10 minutes in, where's Theo James? We got to get Theo James. And I think it was a bold move to kind of hold off on cutting to the character, because I think it's like 25 minutes in or something until like you get to the present day. But and I think part of it was like finding the tone of like, because the boys, the past, when they're children, are quite silly and they're, there's almost like a goosebumpsy kind of vibe to it. And then when it switches to Theo James, there's kind of a tonal shift that happens at that point in time. And so I think when Oz was trying to figure out like how much comedy do we just go full fun comedy, first, and then we'll get to Theo James when we get there. So I think it does kind of work. And by the time you get to Theo James, you're like, oh, this guy's in the movie. So
yeah, I mean, it kind of reboots itself at that point. It's like, oh, here we go. Here's the next phase of the film. Here's the next part of the story. And like Greg was saying, it was structured differently earlier on, and it was finding out that maybe that was too confusing for audience members. Maybe it was, Aunt Ida, I remember, was like that was originally a version of the opening of the film. It was just all about making it serve the story. And
I think when Aunt Ida died at the beginning, that was kind of your typical kind of cold open horror move. But then it jumped back in time, and then the boys after she dies, she's then alive, and then are people alive or are they dead? Like, what's going on here? I think also that was an interesting opener scene because it established kind of a more typical horror opening, like when the movie opens and a woman hooks and her head's on fire. Like, it's still silly, but it skews more horror than comedy with like the boys. And the current opening with Adam Scott, I think, was the right move.
That's a tone.
If that was not the originally intended opening, when did the Adam Scott scene come to fruition?
I feel like that came into fruition when they were, wanted to go full comedy, because like that sets the tone a lot, pretty perfectly with the flamethrower and the melting monkey, in a better way than the Aunt Ida death is still a great fun moment, but it's the Adam Scott intro is like kind of embodied everything, and like it was the father figure, it was the monkey, it encapsulated all those things, and it was pretty funny, in my opinion.
And there was a different version of the father from an earlier cut too. There was a different introduction with the father, so that completely changed later on in the post-production process. So.
Yeah. But I feel like it's a very organic process, and we were very, I think, obviously, like the success of Longlegs that summer maybe allowed some liberties to be had with like, oh, well, if we can do a little bit of additional photography to kind of make this movie the best version that it can be, then we should probably do that. So I'm sure that had something to play with how the intro changed.
So the freeze frames and also the like flashes to earlier kills of the movie slightly later in the movie, were those decisions made in the edit or were those sort of in the script or?
The kills later on in the film were definitely, I want to say, in the script. Like that was they were amplified at a later date, but those, like you're talking about the snake and the golf.
I'm just saying, like, later in the film, you'll just do 2-second flashes to kills that had occurred earlier in the film.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. Like, the freeze frames were definitely in the script, and Oz always wanted to have the freeze frames and the narration, and so that was always there from the get-go. I think they may have changed in, certain areas, but I think the quick frame, flash frames back to the kills was added at that point in time to connect the fact that the evil twin brother was the one that was turning the key. Just to make it a little more clear that it was the brothers turning of the key that made those deaths from earlier in the movie happen. Because the deaths from earlier in the movie just kind of happen. You only see them from Hal's perspective. So you don't know. I mean, clearly the movie's called The Monkey. It's the monkey doing it. But just to nail home that it's the brother who's turning the key, that was kind of why we did the reprise of those deaths at that point in time. And, I think it's kind of fun. Like, let's revisit those. Those are pretty fun moments. The bikini explosion, I think, is my favorite. And let's see it again. Why not?
The scene where the brother comes back into the picture by the pool and like how that all sort of leads into the pool kill. Can you talk about working on that sequence and getting that one to work?
Building the death, the pool death, putting that together was a lot of fun. I think we spent at least a week on that, or more, obviously more, but that, the mousetrap of the air conditioner falling off the roof, that was a lot of fun putting together. The other just kind of point that came up when putting together that scene was, how do we reveal Bill in that moment? Like, I remember there was a lot more of him on the phone on the other side at an earlier point, but it was pulling that away because you kind of wanted to end that moment with a reveal of Bill in some form.
Yeah, I think in the early versions, it was like we just showed the evil twin brother right away, and he didn't really have an intro. He was just like, oh, he's here now. Mm-hmm. And then at some point in time, it was like, we just catch a glimpse of him on the phone. That's enough to kind of wait until Hal puts it together that his brother is the one who's turning the key, and then Bill gets a grand entrance, and we call it Bill's Tale when there's the music montage explaining the past, all that stuff. That was kind of like, let's save it as much as possible so when you see him, it has a little bit more impact at that point in time. Mm-hmm. Even though you kind of know it's what's happening, it's nice to kind of hold back until then. But the pool one was, just as props to everybody who was putting it together. There was they shot a lot of that stuff practically, and there was they put like a green bridge over the pool, and they had a guy in a green screen suit with a bucket of limbs, and he would just throw them out at the camera, and they shot it in slow motion so they could get all the things. So there's like a 10-minute clip of a guy in a green screen suit throwing body parts all over, and pretty funny.
Yeah, there are a lot of options with that scene, which was awesome.
So some of the kills, there's a lot of build-up, and you sort of feel coming a little bit, and there's like that mousetrap element, and then others like just sort of like happen like in a snap, and we were wondering how you sort of try to balance those two things.
Yeah, there was always the hero elements that, like the bikini explosion, the shotgun in the closet, the bees, those ones were always like main character kind of
juicy.
Like they had a lot of stuff going on. Some of the snap ones were there and always intended to be like a quick kind of cutaway, like the Family Guy thing. We're cutting away to the thing. The snake kill, the Yeah,
Lawnmower.
the lawnmower death, which is quite fun. Yeah, there was actually, I think at one point in time, I got to go on set. The one time I very rarely go on set, I was doing second unit directing for some extra deaths, and I had the fortune of working on the lawnmower guy drinking the beer for this. It's very memorable for me.
Sprayed in blood. Yeah.
And drinking a beer. The drinking a beer thing was that actor's, I can't remember his name. He's a great guy. But he was like, "Do you want me to be drinking a beer?" And I'm like, "Yes." More blood and drink beer action. So that was quite fun for me. It was a fun time because I don't usually go on set, and to suddenly go on set to just pretend to kill a bunch of people was quite fun. And the whole crew was like, "What are we doing next?"
Did Osgood recruit you to do that just for fun for the day, or was it really just for like that scene or something?
I think at that point in time, they needed to hire a second unit director, and they were like, "Well, Greg knows the movie inside out, so why don't you can do it?" So they didn't have to bring in another guy. I already knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Graham was in the edit suite. I was on set. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, another thing that you just mentioned was the sort of like encyclopedic account of like, oh, here's all the deaths this week, and then just doing like 5 in quick succession. I think those worked really well.
That was it. That's one of my favorite scenes, the lead up to Barbara's death. And she has a line which I'm working on a T-shirt that says, "Looks like God's bowling strikes tonight." That's one of my favorite lines.
Can you talk a little bit about, I think it's Ricky, the way his storyline coalesce? Because it could feel sort of like a random element or something, but it's not.
So I first noticed that actor Rowan Campbell in Halloween Kills, the third one, right? He was great in that. So it's different than that character, but the punk rock cool guy being compelled by this mystical monkey was a lot of fun to add into or have in the movie, rather.
Yeah, he's such a silly character. I think that was when we were sort of figuring out the tone of the movie. We were questioning, like, do we take Ricky out? He's kind of like the henchman extra character, but we all just love him. Like, so funny that it would be a shame to lose his scenes. And like, having a little bit, like, talking about, not necessarily fitting in the box, or like it's not necessarily propelling the plot forward, but having that extra element of this Ramones looking cop dude, pretty funny. And if we took him out, then when he dies, do we care? Does it matter? His scene in the car where he's like he's telling the kid to go through the doggy door, and I was going to tell you about the monkey when you were older, and like, it's quite a funny scene. And to kind of strip away too much of Ricky's character kind of takes away from that. Like, he had, I don't know, we all loved him. Yeah. So I think anytime anyone was like, "What if you just get rid of that?" I think we felt kind of defensive about it. There's been some people that have read into it, like, does Ricky's character, is his dad also the same dad? Is that why he feels the connection with the monkey? And like, I don't know what the answer is. I don't think Oz has specifically specified the correct backstory for any of that, but I think it's kind of interesting to think those things. It adds another texture of like, well, what does that mean? Yeah. Like,
a thematic through line with the father.
I just thought of it as like the next generation. It's like, this shit's just gonna keep getting kicked down the road. Like, just different random dudes are gonna pick this up and keep it going. So editing, for a while there are 2 Theo Jameses, and eventually they come together. Can you talk about sort of deciding what that moment would be? Because in every body double twin movie, you're waiting for that moment to happen.
I do remember them shooting the handshake, getting a lot of information from set about that. The VFX supervisor, Ed Douglas, was on set, and I think the producer, Chris, again, was like, "Ed, I don't know how you're going to pull this off, and then they're on set, they shot it, and then Ed quickly put something together, and it is similar to what's in the film with the handshake, and they're like, okay, yeah, great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the characters, Theo James is amazing, clearly, and his sort of characterization is so kind of believable. Like, he's just so committed to the evil twin brother is so emotionally messed up that he's a very compelling character. And I think part of it is like they're so good and distinct in their character that when they're together, you don't see them as like, they're not behaviorally similar, so you see them as two separate people. Obviously, like doing the split screens and everything is kind of a straightforward thing. When they interact, that gets a little more complicated. But I also want to just props to Christian Convery, the young boy twin. When we were in the sound mix, there's a few people that are like, wow, that whoever plays the other brother is an asshole. He's really good. He's the same guy.
Oh, the little boys were the same kid?
Yeah. There you go.
I was like, yeah, you can do that with Theo Von. I was like, these are just two little kids. So there you go. Sorry. Or maybe I'm proving your point. I don't know if I should be apologizing.
Can you talk about like the sort of apocalyptic-ish ending of the movie and getting that to work?
And maybe the cheerleaders as the perfect end cap.
Well, the cheerleaders was a late. The cheerleaders at the end of the film was a late addition. Originally, like, the cheerleaders appear at the house, outside of the house, after Barbara's death, and everyone was always asking, like, what's the deal with the cheerleaders? And so the answer is kind of to bring them back at the end of the film.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, I guess the evolution of the cheerleaders, because we worked with the Walla group, like the background sounds, and they're a bunch of hilarious improv actors that were doing all this, just improvising like the background dialogue or whatever. And during the Walla for the cheerleaders, they're like, can we say some like funny stuff? Like, can we shout out like, they're bringing out the body, oh my god, I want to see it. Which suddenly like gave so much personality to like this weird thing. Suddenly then it became like, oh, they're characters within this world. And then Oz came up with the brilliant idea of like, well, everyone's asking about the cheerleaders, let's bring them back at the end in the most ridiculous way. They're going to cheer as the characters drive off, and then then they're going to meet their demise pretty hilariously. It's a weird thing. The sort of, I love the sort of apocalyptic writer. It's one of those things. It's like, what movie is it? Like, is it Saving Private Ryan or something? There's the White Horse, or like there's like sometimes there's a movie and like suddenly there's this inexplicable kind of artistic moment. And I kind of love how it's at the very end. People are like, "What the fuck was up with that guy?" Like he talks about it throughout the movie. If you're sort of paying attention, he goes like, "Oh, like a pale rider, death." There's a lot of sort of setup for it, and then it suddenly appears at the end. If you're kind of listening to all the crazy things that people are saying, yeah, that's kind of like where the monkey is death. That is death riding the horse. Mm-hmm. You read into it however you like. It's kind of this beautiful artsy moment that I feel like if you come on this ride all the way and you're invested in what's happening, you're kind of given liberty to go down this extra little bit of our artsy fartsy thing. And then it's kind of then grounded again by the cheerleaders. It's like, just kidding. Like this is art, and now it's a joke.
It's silly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that moment, and I'm glad like both of them see it, and it's not like pawned off as like, oh, just the dad saw it, and then the son's like, what are you talking about? It reminded me of a moment at the end of The Fantastic Mr. Fox where they see a wolf, and it just goes like this on a mountaintop, and they just sort of acknowledge each other, and I thought that was great in this film. So we're starting to wrap up, and do you have any projects that you are working on to be released that you're at liberty to talk about in this moment?
We can talk about that. We are working on wrapping up the Keeper. That'll be coming out in October, but beyond the fact that we're working on it, we cannot speak about it until then.
It exists.
Yeah, it exists.
It exists.
And I'm very excited for it. It's my new favorite Oz Perkins movie.
Oh, very cool.
And that one's supposed to come out in October?
Yeah.
Right now?
With Neon's out in October. So it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I believe there was a teaser at the end of The Monkey in certain locations.
After the credits.
Yeah, one of those things, yeah.
Awesome.
Parth, are you ready for the Big Kahuna final question?
Yeah, I was just about to say. So the Big Kahuna final question is just, what's the last great movie you watched? And it can be a first-time watch or a rewatch, but it has to be great, not just good.
Well, Rand, you asked that question at a good time. I saw last night they showed this movie, Central Park, by Fred Wiseman. I'd never seen any of his movies. It's like this documentarian. He's been around forever. And it was made in like the early 90s, and it's just like little bites of Central Park for like 3 hours. And it's great. And, you know, my attention span did not waver because it's just little weirdness in Central Park in the late 80s, early 90s. Highly recommend that.
I didn't see it. I only saw it recently, but the last like sort of great movie that I was like super stoked about was, and I can't stop talking about is The Sound of Metal.
That's an awesome movie.
So good. Riz Ahmed, right?
Yeah.
It's just like the sound design, the sort of the thing that he's going through with his going deaf. Like it's so punk rock. It's like so heavy. You know, I love a good heavy drama.
Well, I'm going to take us out. Thank you so much to The Monkey and Longlegs co-editors Greg Ung and Graham Fortin. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thanks.
We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, Parth. The monkey's banging the drum.
One of us is going to die.
One of us.
You think both of us?
If both of us dies, what's going to happen to the podcast?
I'll give it to Viraj. I'll give it to my 17-year-old brother.
What do you think? Okay, let's play pretend for a second.
Wow. I really don't know what you're about to ask me.
Let's play this out. Say we got into a car accident together, not in the same car, but completely unplanned. We're both driving on the highway, and we collide.
Oh, okay. We kill each other.
Yes, but it's an accident.
If it was
mutual.
Our cars are facing each other, and we both go through our windows and hit each other. And if neither one of us was there, we could have maybe made it. But because we collide with each other, we snap our necks and die.
Yes, it was. We would have been fine coming through the glass and being propelled under the concrete.
And there's for some reason we both don't wear our seatbelts.
And we were also talking on the phone
with each other. And we said, "Hey, that looks a lot like you."
Those were our famous last words. Okay, so say that happens, but prior to that, you wrote in your will, in the event of Trent and I's shared death via neck collision, car crash, Viraj, can you please take over the podcast?
Wait, let's think about this.
Would he do it?
If I asked, he would. But let's think about this for real.
If you put it in your will.
Yeah, I mean, he would.
What
I don't
is
think
not
he could
for real about
it.
what I just said?
Well, I'm trying to think. If we were really thinking about it, would Viraj be the one that we give it to? Because let's be real, he's not going to continue doing it. Like, there will be a point at which he goes, I have other things that I need to do. Because Viraj doesn't work in film, and I don't think has any intentions of running a podcast. So there will come a point where he will do it for a while because I have basically made him, and then people will go, it's okay, you don't have to keep doing this.
You don't have to do that.
And two of those people will be my parents, and the third would probably be Sophia. But so I'm trying to think, who would we actually give it to?
You're saying we have to be big enough to look past our own bloodline We have to.
I think so.
Let it outside the.
Like,
family,
are we going to be giving this to
and
Tate Algare? Let's be real.
I think she's got bigger fish to fry.
That's what
and
I'm
I can
saying.
say that because she works with fish. But yeah, maybe like friend of the show, or I don't know. I don't know which friend of the show we might
Were you
give.
about to say?
No, he has bigger fish to fry too.
Also, what I'll do maybe is I'll bleep all the names that we say. I mean, we could give it to, but I don't think he would do a good job. Like, I don't think he could actually do it.
I was gonna say that you say that appears on our show, but you've wondered if he actually contributes much, or if he's just our friend. Or maybe we should stop talking about that. Parth, we are the glue.
We
that
are the
holds
only
us
ones.
together.
Wow.
I've had one person text me saying that we had the gift of gab, and we got to take what we can get.
Friend of the show, rather. Sophia Alexis's father now has been listening to some of our episodes, which it's always a scary experience whenever my parents or Sophia's parents randomly decide that they're like going to listen to the episodes again, because there's long bouts of time where they don't.
It's like having your text messages read, and it's like, what do you know? What did you learn about
And
me?
Sophie's listening right now. Hello. But
Hi.
um
Parth is good friends with your daughter. Something to think about.
okay. He complimented the part where we talk about the food, the intro,
Debatably the worst part of our show.
the
sure.
interviews, and the outros. And so then Sophia said, "Isn't
All
that
the
just
portions.
the entire show?" And so I
Yeah,
guess
it seems like he likes the whole show.
I know. And I've had multiple people say that the two of us have very good chemistry with each other on air, which I like to think is true. So yeah, I think ultimately you can't take this away from us.
It's like, let's just put it this way. If every time we recorded this podcast, instead, we went bowling, by this point, we'd be crazy good at bowling. So just something to think on.
Yeah, no.
Not saying it applies to this, just something to think on. But also, we'd be getting like 200. We'd get a bunch of strikes. We would have it figured out by now. And it's like, some days you're gonna roll some gutter balls, like the King of Staten Island discussion, where Parth says I was quote incoherent.
Hey, it was 4 years ago. We can laugh about it now.
No, wow, 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the distance for the podcast. I'm saying me and the King of Staten Island have just come a long way.
Yeah, you think so?
We've been together for 4 years. I watch it once a week, Parth.
Oh, yeah? I'm happy for you. But we've also come a long way with our guest list. And I think in a way, with the quality of movies that we are now covering, we sort of almost exclusively cover indie, well-reviewed films. And Trent, does that continue with does that track with our next episode?
Okay, so to give a hint of what our next episode might be, but without fully revealing it, I texted Parth thinking that this movie, The Monkey, was The Monkey Man. I said, okay, between The Monkey Man and our next movie that I'm not revealing, that also has the word man in the title, or also in the way that The Monkey doesn't. But The Monkey Man, the Dev Patel movie that does exist, also came out like last year. I said we should dedicate this, we should call this month Man Month, which would have been good.
No, Trent, I think you're right. Man Month would have been good. It would have really blown the podcast up. But continue.
I think in Hail Trump.
We forgot. We almost forgot.
I think in Trump's America, that would have gone over great. I think our numbers would have
pumped up.
Like
yeah.
Oh, Parth, do you think with DEI, he's gonna get you off the show? Do you think he's gonna replace you? Is he gonna send you back to Bridgewater High School?
No. So next week we have editor Taylor Levy of A Different Man talking with us.
Oh, we're revealing it. A Different Man. I really enjoyed this film, but also I really enjoyed interviewing the editor Taylor Levy. So, a lot to think about there.
Yeah, and there's a lot to listen next week. Where?
Next week, Sunday, 5 a.m. Set your alarm 4:45. Get a cup of coffee, get a banana, be ready for 5. And be refreshing, and then you'll be the first one. Okay. So Sundays at 5 a.m. every Sunday, and then also stay updated. Instagram, X, nowhere else. Listen to us. Spotify, podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. So it's like with social media, we do these ones, and then with platforms, it's like fucking everywhere. Parth, you're so humored. What's going on?
It's just something about the way you're saying this really tickles me.
Parth, I do it for you.
I'm glad.
Audiences,
the listener, we do it for you.
Oh yeah, I take it back. I don't do it for Parth. Yeah, I do it for the audience at home. You humble listener, humble as ever. Hail Trump. Good night.
Bye, guys. See you next week. Hail Trump. Hail. Hey, can I say Hail King Trump?
Parth, he's gonna be like, Parth's one of the good ones. I know he's
I love
brown,
the Indians. I love the Hindus.
This Parth guy, he says a lot of good stuff. I'm willing to look past his skin.
Some bad stuff.
I like
some bad
the show.
Stuff. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff.
Oh, Parth, your Trump is so much better than mine.
Well, no, we've devolved.
Don't even fight
we've
me.
devolved to Trump impressions. We'll see you next week, guys.
Oh, I thought we weren't rolling anymore.
Oh, we were rolling.
Okay.